Natural resources, changes to Earth's surface, test. Number 1. The diagram shows parts of a process that occurred over time. Which process does this diagram most likely represent? A, the erosion of a coastline. B, the deposition of sediments. C, the weathering of a mountain. D, the formation of a sea. Number 2. The diagram shows layers deposited under a body of water. This layering continued for millions of years. Dead plants and animals, water, dead plants and animals. What most likely happened to the dead plants and animals? F, they were eaten by scavengers. G, they became fossil fuels. H, they were washed away by water. J, they became underground aquifers. Number 3. Which diagram models the process of compaction leading to the formation of sedimentary rock? Which diagram models the process of compaction leading to the formation of sedimentary rock? Number 4. Fossil fuels formed over long periods of time after particles in water settled to the seafloor and formed marine mud. What kind of particles needed to be present in the marine mud in order for fossil fuels to form? F, mostly sand and a few small bits of wood. G, mostly decaying organisms. H, mostly lava and a few sedimentary rock. Or J, mostly metal minerals. Number 5. What were formed millions of years ago from living organisms, such as trees, ferns, fish, and microscopic animals, dying and being buried under layers of mud, rock, and sand? A, water, coal, and oil. B, coal, oil, natural gas. C, natural gas, air, coal. D, water, natural gas, air. Number 6. All of these are related to the formation of oil or natural gas except F, decomposed animals. G, decayed plants. H, sedimentary rocks. J, active volcanoes. Number 7. Plants prevent soil erosion by A, the process of photosynthesis. B, releasing water through transpiration. C, providing food for herbivores. D, holding dirt in place with their roots. Number 8. Which statement best explains the formation of sedimentary rock? F, when water seeps into rocks and freezes, it expands in size and breaks down large rocks to form sedimentary rock. G, when sediment is compressed and cemented together, sedimentary rock is formed. H, when heat and pressure are applied to the remains of prehistoric plants and trees that have been covered with soil, sedimentary rock is formed. J, when erosion of sediment occurs, sedimentary rock is formed. Number 9. Since sedimentary rocks are formed in layers, the oldest rocks would most likely be found in the layer A, furthest below the Earth's surface. B, located near the surface of the Earth. C, with the darkest colors of sediment. D, nearest an ocean or a river. Number 10. Fossil fuels formed over a long period of time because heat and pressure were applied to F, carbon filtered through limestone. G, organisms buried in the ground. H, bacteria on top of the mud. J, nitrogen mixed in the water. Number 11. The Grand Canyon is more than 400 kilometers long and in some places almost 2 kilometers deep. Which model best represents the main process that formed the Grand Canyon? Water faucet, soil, drain. Fan, moving air, sand. Marble, mud. Hammer, chisel, rock. Number 12. The size and shape of a delta can change over time. The size and shape of this delta over time are not likely to be changed by F, the number and height of tides along the shore. G, the amount and size of sediment carried by the river and stream. H, the amount of hunting and fishing in the delta. J, the number and size of waves from the ocean that reach the shore. Monahans Sandhills State Park in Texas has almost 4,000 acres of sand dunes. Some of the dunes are as tall as a 6-story building. Location of Monahans Sandhills State Park. Monahans Sandhills State Park. The dunes in the park are formed by A, rainstorms, B, tornadoes, C, earthquakes, D, strong wind. A wide U-shaped valley is shown in the photograph below. This valley was most likely formed by F, flash flooding, G, a glacier, H, a hurricane, J, melting snow. The photograph below shows a canyon in northern Arizona. Canyon walls. Which of these described how the canyon was most likely formed? A, floods erode the sandstone away from the canyon walls. B, glaciers eroded the canyon rock as they melted and moved. C, ice wedged into cracks in the rock and weathered the canyon walls. D, wind blew large rocks that smashed against the canyon wall. 16. The Rio Grande Valley is located at the southern tip of Texas at the end of a long river known as the Rio Grande. Location of the Rio Grande Valley, Rio Grande Valley, Gulf of Mexico. How did the delta at the end of the Rio Grande form? F, sand and mud from the Gulf of Mexico were washed ashore by tsunamis. G, the river cut through the solid bedrock of the valley. H, the river deposited large amounts of sediments from land erosion. J, hurricanes pushed soil and debris from the Gulf of Mexico onto the land. A student hiking in a rocky area on a mountain noticed that wide, deep cracks have formed in some of the large rocks. Some of the cracks are so large that the rocks have broken apart, which process most likely caused the rocks to crack and break. A, erosion by wind. B, water freezing and thawing. C, erosion by fast-moving water. D, sediments being deposited. Which of these can cause sharp, rough mountains to become rounded and smooth over time? F, wind and rain. G, the sun's rays. H, light and darkness. J, Earth's magnetic field. For 19. Which of the following features is best modeled in the diagram above? A, island. G, glacier. C, river. D, volcano. And there's no diagram, but on your test there will be a diagram. Number 20. The Davis Mountains in West Texas used to be taller than they are now. Which of the following conditions most likely caused the mountains to become shorter over time? F, heat and pressure. G, soil deposition. H, rain and wind. J, river formation. (21) A river delta is an area where sediments are deposited. Desert, valley, mountain range, river delta, coastline, ocean floor. The sediments in the river delta shown above most likely come from the A, mountain range, D, desert, C, ocean floor, D, coastline. 22. Which of these environments could form coal if the area is buried for a long time? (23) Erosion is one of the processes involved in the formation of sedimentary rock. Which of these best describes the process of erosion? A, rocks are broken into smaller pieces that remain in the same location. B, pressure compacts layers of sediment and turns them into rock. C, pieces of rocks or soil are carried from one place to another. D, sediment grains fall to the bottom of a lake to form sedimentary layers. 24. Which is most likely formed when particles of sand, clay, and seashells are pressed together under layers of rock? F, diamonds. G, fault lines. H, large bricks. J, sedimentary rock. 25. The diagram below shows the sequence of the process that turns solid rock into sandstone. Solid rock, weathering, erosion, and deposition, beach sand, sandstone. Which two processes best complete the diagram? A, melting and cooling. B, erosion and compaction. C, compaction and cementation. D, evaporation and dissolving.